Hey everybody, I'm here on a little nature walk today at the start of spring. It's the North Saskatchewan River, and that's the Edmonton footbridge. I wanted to talk about a short story. I'll use this as the setting, and the one I picked to talk about is called Budget Travel. Um, First, I'll say what I mean by the title. The title is it's an insult to the secondary character in the short story. So there's the main character, which is me from the first person fictional perspective. The secondary character is kind of my antagonist, and there are other characters, but I'll just stick to those two. In this novel, or pardon me, short story, I'm in Nice, France, on the Mediterranean, and I'm staying in a hostel, and I'm going to Paris, but I don't like any of the prices I'm finding online, and they're surprising me a little. And just at the time when I'm kind of lamenting over how expensive it is to travel there, from Nice to Paris, somebody comes and offers me a shared ride, and I don't like the guy. Like, I'm staying in a hostel in a dorm in Nice, and he's a dorm mate, and I don't really like him. But he's referred to me by another dorm mate. I do accept the ride, and things kind of go wrong. Firstly, he takes my bag and puts it in the trunk and locks the trunk, so I'm kind of separated from it. Secondly, he wants all kinds of money up front, and I'm like, well, I'll pay you along the way. Thirdly and lastly, his car breaks down en route, and that's where things really go south. So what happens in this situation? It's kind of something like this did happen to me in real life once. More like kind of a feeling like somebody. I was actually traveling just from Calgary to Vancouver, and somebody ripped me off in a. I guess it wasn't a terrible rip-off, but how it went was, when we were in Calgary, he said he would drive me to Vancouver and just for $40, and I agreed. So, at that point, I didn't book anything on the bus or on the train. I just committed to that. So we're driving. We get to Banff, which is only, I don't know, 78%, 7 or 8% of the way from Calgary to Vancouver. And the guy said, oh, by the way, I'm not going to Vancouver. I'm going to Chilliwack. Chilliwack is an hour and a half or so from Vancouver. You can't walk it. You could take public transit, but it'd be like $20 on public transit, and it would take you like 6, 7, 8 hours. I'm pretty sure you could do it on public transit if you wanted. But so this guy changed the price. Now, how we were doing things, I paid half. I paid half at the start, and the other half I was going to pay him when we got to Vancouver. So when we got to Chilliwack, the whole time I kind of wanted to tell him off, but I'm kind of, honestly, one thing I was considering was my bag locked in his trunk, and that kind of imposed some kind of need for me to stay on good terms with him. I kind of felt a little bit of pressure like that, real or imagined. Maybe I didn't have to, but it was only when I got my bag back out of the trunk that I felt like, okay, well, this is time to tell you off. And so, I told him, Chilliwack isn't Vancouver. If you would have told me in Calgary that you were only going to Chilliwack instead of saying you're taking me to Vancouver, I would have taken the bus, because it just wouldn't have. It was worth it to save the money, but I felt like he didn't have the right to misrepresent the destination that he was actually going to, and that he did it on purpose. So I said, it's going to cost me $15 to buy a bus ticket. You said $40 to Vancouver. So I'm keeping that 15 out of the 20 I owe you. And I gave him 5. He seemed really indignant, and I don't know. Go ahead and share your opinion if you thought what I did was fair or not. But that's kind of the feeling that I'm representing in this short story. That feeling where somebody's got my possession that I need. It's got my passport in it. It has other valuables, and like I can't get on bad terms with this person until I get it back. It's kind of like a landlord with your damage deposit. So you might feel that way with your employer too. Like, I hope they sure pay me everything they owe me. I better be nice to them even though they're awful. That kind of feeling. So in the story, his car breaks down and my bag is locked in the trunk. And he won't let me have my bag in the story. And he's like, no, he hitchhikes and he says, I'm going to go get a relative that doesn't live very far. And I'm going to solve this problem of my car. And I need you to stay with it so it doesn't get towed. And I'm like, well, give me my bag. How long are you going to be? And he's like, I'm going to be 45 minutes. I'm like, well, give me my bag back. And I'll stay the 45 minutes. And in the story, I mean that it's fiction, but in the story, I'm telling the truth. I do plan to wait 45 minutes, but he doesn't. He leaves, and he leaves my bag locked in the trunk, and he takes longer than 45 minutes, and I just start to wonder, do I have the right to break into the trunk? And I start to wonder, how does that look if somebody drives by? What happens if the guy comes back right when I'm busting the window? Because you know how you can get the lever inside the car to pop the trunk. So I'm debating in my head, and then I won't spoil the ending or anything, but that's what Budget Travel's about, and you can find it on letterpile.com. Just search Shane Lambert and Budget Travel. Thanks, bye-bye.